Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Hill, Chief Scientist at Geoscience Australia. I'm presently at Australia's Parliament House at Capitol Hill, Canberra, which is part of the country of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. It's incredible to realise for a nation with such strong foundations and prosperity that come from geoscience, that our nation's Parliament House also has close connections to geoscience, and that's reflected in how it's built, as well as the landscape and geological setting of Parliament House. In this short presentation, I'm keen to share with you some insights that will help you look at Parliament House in perhaps some different ways, and in particular, we're going to look at its close connection to geoscience. A large part of the rocks in this part of Canberra have their origins from about 423 to 416 million years ago. And that's in a period of time that geologists refer to as the Silurian. In fact, it's the later part of the Silurian. At this time, the area had an environment of shallow seas that were punctuated by times of extensive volcanic activity. During this time, the nucleus of the Australian continent existed as ancient rocks that we now see in Western Australia and South Australia. And the continent was growing eastwards into an ancient, very early Pacific Ocean. And as this area was expressed then as shallow sea, with a series of chains of volcanoes or volcanic arcs that were gradually welding on to that continental nucleus. If we look around the landscape, we can see remnants of some of these volcanic rocks, such as at Mount Ainslie in the background here. And the sediments from the ocean floor can be best seen right here at State Circle, particularly in the road cutting that's behind me. And the same sort of rocks are also exposed beneath Parliament House. Geologists look at rocks and their relationships a bit like how a detective may piece together clues to understand a sequence of events to solve the geological crime. The distinctive geology of the State Circle road cutting exposes some of the key relationships between the old rocks known as the State Circle Shale, which is seen at the base of the cutting, and that was deposited at about 435 million years ago. And then above that is the younger Camp Hill sandstone. That's at the very top of the cutting, and that was deposited at about 425 to 420 million years ago. Both of the sedimentary rocks here were deposited on the sea floor, and they contain fossils of ancient sea creatures that help us to determine the age and the environment that the sediments were deposited in. Rocks of this age in the Canberra district host the newly elected ACT fossil emblem, Batacaris mitchellii, which is the ancient extinct arthropod known as a trilobite. The older State Circle shale was folded and uplifted and eroded before the Camp Hill sandstone was deposited on top. The boundary between these rocks here is what geologists call an unconformity. A similar unconformity between slightly different rocks actually extends under Parliament House and is visible beneath the building. The rocks have since been folded and faulted, weathered and eroded. The harder Camp Hill sandstone is slightly more resistant to erosion than the surrounding rocks, and as a result, it stands slightly more proud in the landscape to form Capitol Hill, or the original hill where Parliament House now sits. Many of the other hills in the Canberra district also relate to slightly harder rocks than the surrounding rocks in the valleys, and because of that, they stand slightly more proud in the landscape as well. The red stones of Parliament House's forecourt represent Australia's vast red interior. A stunning feature here is the multicoloured stone mosaic derived from a painting by Aboriginal artist Michael Jacamara Nelson. And he's from the Papunya area, west of Alice Springs. The multicoloured stones of the mosaic are mostly 6 different granites that come from Australia and from all around the world. This includes a red granite at the centre called New Imperial Red, which is from India, and that defines the inner circle, as well as then the Tirana Pink, which is from near Bathurst. There's also a yellow and green granite that's from South America, and the Norwegian Pearl Blue. Absolutely stunning feature of this forecourt, and it's incredible how they've translated that painting using small pieces of granite. Much of the dark rock that you see here in the water feature is a dark granite from near Forbes, and that's called Grandee. The paving here includes Imperial Black Granite, which is from Black Hill near Swan Reach in South Australia. And my very favourite stone here is the red granite pavers and also some of the bollards. And they're made of a stone known as Kalka Red, which is quarried from near Streaky Bay in South Australia on the Eyre Peninsula. And it's these rocks that are used in those pavers are the same age as the Olympic Dam ore body in South Australia. The same rocks that you see in those red pavers have also been used at the Sydney Opera House for paving. The outer area of the forecourt is paved with rounded red gravels that are known as Riverina Red, and they were excavated from pebbles that were eroded from Devonian sedimentary rocks near Griffith in New South Wales. I love the way that this forecourt is such an impressive feature, in a large way due to the way that diversity of different rocks from Australia and around the world have been combined. The Great Veranda of Parliament House is one of the most impressive architectural features of this building. It's mostly made of the famous white marble known as Paradise White from Carrara in northern Italy, which was a popular stone for the buildings of ancient Rome and also the sculptures of Michelangelo. The stones used here were cut from a single wall of the Carrara quarry and then reassembled to form the facade that we see at the front entrance of Parliament House. You can gain an appreciation of the care, skill and attention of the architects and quarry master by looking at this stone and following the pattern of continuous grey streaks that run obliquely in the marble, and they are continuous across the face of the facade. Once you notice this, it really is something to marvel at and changes the way you look at this entrance to Parliament House. I hope that you've learned a few things that will help you look at Australia's Parliament House at least a little differently and see how geoscience is a key component of this building. If you'd like to find out more information, I'd just like to tell you about 2 publications that can be usually purchased from the Parliament House shop. The first one is this book, Images in Stone, a guide to the building stones of Parliament House by Wolf Mayer. And the other one is this book, which is a geological guide to the Canberra region and the Namadgi National Park. And that's produced by the Geological Society of Australia, ACT Division. And this also comes with a fantastic geological map of the ACT that every time I get out to look up where I am, I then have to concentrate on refolding it away. Thank you very much.